Today we're killing 2 axolotls with 1 air stone. Pretty gross way to put that. Hey everyone, and welcome to Skein Spider. Today we are making axolotls again, but this time we're making a Squishmallow version, or if you'd prefer, a Reversible axolotl. So if you've been on my channel before, you may remember a couple of weeks ago I posted my basic Squishmallow pattern. Now, many people asked for the axolotl version of that, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. But rather than making just another straight up Squishmallow video, I wanted to do something a little bit different, which is where the reversible axolotl comes in. So in this video, you can make either a Squishmallow version of the axolotl or the reversible version of the axolotl. Now, I will be using most of the body pattern from the original Squishmallow video. And that's because I'm efficient, not lazy. But I will be using that from the original video. Whoops, almost dropped him. I will be using that from the original video. So that's what you're going to need to follow for both. However, when we finish that part, I will be then showing you how to crochet all the other pieces and then continue on to make either the Squishmallow version or the reversible version. So decide which one you'd like to make, then grab your hooks and let's get started. To make this pattern, you're going to need a hook size that matches whatever yarn weight you're using, plus scissors, stitch markers, a needle, pins, and stuffing. We're going to start off, as we usually do, by putting 6 single crochet in a magic circle. Round 2 is going to be 6 increases. That's just 2 single crochet in each stitch from round 1. For round 3, we're going to begin with 3 single crochet, and I'm just going to put my stitch marker in the first one. 2 and 3. And then we're going to follow this with 3 increases in a row. And then after we've done that 3rd increase, we're just going to repeat that same pattern again. So we're going to do 3 single crochet, 3 increases. For round 4, we're going to begin with 1 single crochet. And then after that, we're going to do an increase. There we go. And then we're going to repeat 2 single crochet, 1 increase 5 times. When you've done that 5th and final increase, you should have 1 stitch left in your round, and all we're going to do is pop a single crochet into that. For round 5, we're going to start by doing 4 single crochet. And 4. And then we're going to do a repeat of 1 single crochet, 1 increase 3 times. So 1 increase, 2 and increase, and 3rd single crochet and 3rd increase. After this 3rd increase, we're going to do 6 single crochet, and then we're going to do that repeat of 1 single crochet, 1 increase 3 times again. With that done, we should have 2 stitches left in the round, and we're just going to single crochet into each of those. Round 6 is going to be 2 single crochet and an increase, and then we're going to repeat 4 single crochet, 1 increase 5 times, and finish off our round with 2 single crochet. Round 7 is 5 single crochet and an increase repeated 6 times. Round 8 begins with 3 single crochet and then an increase, and then repeat 6 single crochet, 1 increase 5 times, and finish off the round with 3 single crochet. After round 8, there should be 48 stitches in total in your round, and then round 9 is just going to be 48 single crochet. For the next few increase rounds, we're going to be increasing by multiples of 3 rather than multiples of 6. So round, what are we up to? Round 10 is going to be 15 single crochet, 1 increase repeated 3 times. Round 11 is 51 single crochet all the way around. Round 12 is 16 single crochet and an increase repeated 3 times. Round 13 is 54 single crochet. Round 14 is 17 single crochet and an increase repeated 3 times. Both rounds 15 and 16 are going to be 57 single crochet. Round 17 is 18 single crochet or 1 increase repeated 3 times. After round 17, there should now be 60 stitches in your round, and then rounds 18 through to 22 are just going to be 60 single crochet each. At round 23, we're going to begin decreasing. So round 23 is going to be 18 single crochet, 1 decrease repeated 3 times. Both rounds 24 and 25 are 57 single crochet. Round 26 is 17 single crochet, 1 decrease repeated 3 times. The next 3 rounds, rounds 27, 28 and 29, are each 54 single crochet. Round 30 is 7 single crochet, 1 decrease repeated 6 times. Round 31 begins with 3 single crochet and then a decrease, and then we're going to repeat 6 single crochet, 1 decrease 5 times, and then just finish off the round with 3 single crochet. When you've finished crocheting round 31, we're just going to stop here for a moment, because depending on whether you make the Squishmallow version of the axolotl or the reversible axolotl, your pattern is going to be a little bit different from this point forward. So if you're going to be making the Squishmallow version of the axolotl, you are going to stuff the body at this point and add any safety eyes if you want to, and then you're going to continue crocheting. You're just going to continue decreasing by 6 from round 31 onwards. If you don't know how to do that, I will put a link in the description to the original Squishmallow video so you can see how that's done. So you can go and watch that portion of the video. But for this video, we're going to be continuing on with the reversible axolotl. So round 31 is our last round. So that is why for this one, I have cut and weaved in the end, because we're going to need to make 2 bodies. And for one of them, we're going to leave a tail to sew them together. And for the other one, which for me is this one, you're going to cut a tail and then just weave that in to hide it. So if you're doing the Squishmallow axolotl, add your safety eyes if you want to, stuff, continue decreasing, and then you can go on to the other body parts. If you're doing the reversible axolotl, stop there, crochet a second body piece, and then we're going to leave our piece open like this because we don't need to finish off with decrease rounds. And when you're done with either one of those, whichever one you're doing, we're going to set those pieces aside and continue on to the rest of the body parts. The rest of the body parts are going to be the same no matter which version of the axolotl that you're making. So the arms, the belly, the tail, etc., etc., they're all the same. The only slight difference is the quantity. So for the Squishmallow, you're only going to make like 1 set of each piece, so that means like 2 arms, 2 eyes, a belly, a tail, 2 gills. But for the reversible axolotl, you're going to need to double everything because we've essentially got 2 axolotls in one. So that means you're going to make 4 arms, 4 eyes, 2 belly patches, and so on and so on. So I don't know why I made a slip knot because we're not using a slip knot. But the arms, which is what we're going to start with, begin with, if I can get it through, 6 single crochet in a magic circle. Round 2 is 2 single crochet, 1 increase repeated twice. Round 3 is 1 single crochet, 1 increase repeated 4 times. At the end of round 3, there should now be 12 stitches in your round, and then rounds 4 through to 7 are going to be 12 single crochet each. Then what we're going to do when we're finished round 7 is actually single crochet these stitches together. If you'd prefer to stuff the arm and then sew it on, you can, but I just like doing it like this. So to do that, we're going to go into the first stitch. But before we single crochet, we are instead going to maneuver our work around a little bit and then push the head of the hook straight out of the last stitch. So I've gone through stitch 1 and stitch 12. Once you've done that, then you're going to yarn over and pull through both of those stitches, yarn over to finish the single crochet. And then we're going to do that again. We're going to go into stitch number 2 and then out stitch number 11 and single crochet. And we're going to continue this down the arm, and we should do this 6 times in total because we had 12 stitches originally, and folding it in half will bring us down to 6. And then when you're done, we're just going to leave a tail for sewing. The next piece we're going to be crocheting is the tail, or the tails if you need to do 2. And we're going to begin with 6 single crochet in a magic circle. Round 2 is 6 single crochet. For round 3, we're going to start with 2 single crochet. And then we're going to do 2 increases in a row. And then we're just going to finish the round with 2 single crochet. Round 4 is 3 single crochet, 2 increases, and then 3 single crochet. Round 5 is 4 single crochet, 2 increases, and then another 4 single crochet. For round 6, we're going to begin with 3 single crochet. And after that third single crochet, we're then going to repeat 1 single crochet, 1 increase 3 times. And increase, and then we're just going to finish the round with 3 single crochet. Round 7 is 3 single crochet, and then we're going to repeat 2 single crochet, 1 increase 3 times, and then finish the round with 3 single crochet. Round 8 begins with 6 single crochet, and then we're going to repeat 1 single crochet, 1 increase 3 times, and finish off with another 6 single crochet. Round 9 is 6 single crochet, and then a repeat of 2 single crochet, 1 increase 3 times, and we're finishing off the round with 6 single crochet. And then round 10, which is going to be our last round, is just 24 single crochet. And just finish off with a slip stitch, and we're going to cut a tail so we can sew this on later. Next, we're going to make the eyes, and you're going to need to make either 2 or 4 depending on which version you're making. But we're going to begin by putting 6 single crochet in a magic circle. And then our second and final round is just 1 single crochet, 1 increase repeated 3 times. And slip stitch and leave a tail for sewing. After the eyes, we're going to be making the belly, and for that we begin with a slip knot. And then we're going to chain 13. Starting in the second chain from the hook, we're just going to single crochet back along the chain, and we're going to do that 12 times. For row 2, chain 1 and turn your work, and we're going to begin with an increase, and then we're going to follow that with 11 single crochet. For row 3, chain 1 and turn your work, and this time we're going to do 1 increase and 12 single crochet. Row 4, chain 1 and turn, and this time we're just going to do 14 single crochet. For row 5, we're also going to chain 1 and turn, but this time we're going to begin with a single crochet 2 together. How we do that is you first go into the first stitch, you're going to yarn over and pull through, but rather than completing the stitch, we're then going to go into the second stitch, again yarn over and pull through. At this point you should have 3 loops on your hook, 1, 2 and 3. You're going to yarn over a final time and then pull through all 3 of those loops. So that's how we single crochet 2 together. We're going to finish round 5 now with 12 single crochet. Row 6, chain 1 and turn, and this time we're going to single crochet 2 together and then follow that with 11 single crochet. Row 7, chain and turn. We're going to begin with a single crochet 2 together. Then we're going to do 8 single crochet, but this time we're also going to finish with a single crochet 2 together. Row 8, chain 1 and turn your work. We're going to single crochet 2 together, follow that with 6 single crochet, and then finish with a single crochet 2 together. Row 9, chain and turn. We're going to single crochet 2 together, then do 4 single crochet and finish with single crochet 2 together. Row 10 is our final row. We're going to chain and turn, single crochet 2 together, 2 single crochet, and then single crochet 2 together. As a finishing touch on the belly patch, we're just going to chain 1 and turn our work again, and then we're going to finish off by single crocheting around the entire piece. So you're going to crochet all the way along until you get back to the starting point here. And just finish off with a slip stitch, and this time we're going to need to leave a fairly long tail for sewing. The last pieces that we need to crochet are the gills. They are crocheted as 3 separate pieces, so you can see I've already made 2 here, and then we crochet them together at the end to form the gill. They all use the same basic pattern, but just the larger sizes have additional rounds to make them longer. So I've already made the small and the medium gill, and we're going to do the large gill together. And you're going to begin by putting 6 single crochet in a magic circle. Round 2 is 2 single crochet, 1 increase repeated twice. After round 2, there should now be 8 stitches in your round, and then depending on what size gill you're crocheting, the next part is going to be a little bit different. So for the small gill, rounds 3 through to 5 are just going to be 8 single crochet each. For the medium gill, rounds 3 through to 7 are 8 single crochet. And then for the large gill, which I'm going to be crocheting now, rounds 3 through to 9 are 8 single crochet. There's also a couple more differences. So when you're crocheting the small gill, once you're finished, you're going to cut a short tail and then weave that in, because we don't need a tail for the small gill. For the medium gill, you're going to again cut a short tail, but this one you're going to leave, because before we crochet all the pieces together, we're going to sew these 2 together. And then when you're doing the large gill, once you've finished crocheting round 9, you're not going to cut the yarn at all. So you're going to leave the large gill on your hook. So make the small and the medium gill first, and then come back and do the large gill, and then we're going to put them all together. Alright, when you've finished round 9 of the large gill, you're just going to set that aside for now. And you're going to want to grab your needle. If you haven't weaved in the end of the small gill, do that first, but if you have, you're going to thread the needle with the tail end of your medium gill. And then what we're going to do is sew the small and medium gill together for 2 stitches. Now I like to sew together the first stitches and last stitches of the round, because that hides the slip stitches. Now if you do sew them in a different position, you just need to remember going forward that the slip stitch doesn't count as a stitch in the round. So when we're crocheting later on, you're going to have to skip that slip stitch. So I'm just going to go into the last stitch. Where are we? Here we go. The last stitch of the small gill, and then I'm going to sew into the last stitch of the medium gill. So I'm sewing those two together, and then I'm going to repeat the process on the first stitch of each round, which is just next to the last stitches here. So into there and into there. And then I'm just going to go over both stitches once more so they're sewed together nice and tightly. And then once you've sewn those together for 2 stitches, that should leave you with 6 stitches free in each piece, because we started with 8 in each, sewed them together for 2, which leaves us with 6 and 6. Once you're done sewing, we're just going to weave this tail end in as well. So I'm just going to push my needle through the backs of the stitches here. Once that's done, we are going to bring in our large gill, and we're going to single crochet rather than sew the large gill to the medium gill. First step is you want to squish your medium gill flat so we can see what stitches are at the end here, because we're going to be working into those last 2. You're going to take this medium gill and line it up next to the large gill. To single crochet them together, we're going to go into this first stitch at the end here. So we've squashed it flat. We can see which stitches are at the end. We're going to go into the first stitch. You want to start from the wrong side, so inside the piece here, and we're going to push our needle out through to the right sides of the stitches. Then don't single crochet at this point. We're instead going to go straight into the next free stitch of the large gill. So you need to go through that stitch. Once you've gone through both, yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over, pull through to finish the single crochet. So that's one joining single crochet, and we're going to repeat the process again. Go into the next stitch of the medium gill, straight into the next free stitch of the large gill, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and single crochet. Now the next free stitch in the large gill is where we're going to single crochet next, and that is going to be stitch number 1 of our joining round. So I'm just going to place my stitch marker there, and then we're going to continue crocheting what I'm going to call round 10, because the last row of the large gill was round 9, but I know that the other gills didn't quite get up to round 10 yet, but I'm just going to call it round 10 anyway, so hopefully that's not too confusing. And all we're going to do is crochet 16 single crochet using the free stitches of each gill. So that should mean after joining them all together, we have 6 free stitches in the end gill, so the small and the large, and 4 free stitches, 2 on each side of the medium gill, which is in the middle here. So I've already crocheted 1 stitch, that's where our stitch marker, that's where our stitch marker is. So we're going to continue single crocheting 2 and 6, and then we're going to skip the stitches that we joined together, and we're going to crochet into the 2 free stitches. That's 7 and 8. Again, skip the joining stitches, and we're going to crochet 6 in the small gill and 14, and then we've just got 2 stitches to go, which are the 2 free stitches of the medium gill. Skip the joining stitches, 15 and 16, and then we're just going to finish off by slip stitching back into our first single crochet. Leave a tail for sewing, and that is all our crocheting complete. Now we can begin putting our axolotls together. Now it doesn't really matter if you're doing the Squishmallow version or the reversible version, because the assembly is roughly the same, but because I'm doing the reversible version, I'm going to lay my piece flat, and then I'm going to press it out as flat as I can, because I just find it easier to sew on the pieces like that. I'm going to begin with the belly, and the smaller end here is the top, so we want that to be centered with round 1 at the top here. And the bottom is going to line up with the last round of stitches here. So between rounds 31 and 32. You're going to pin this piece down and sew it on. If you're doing the Squishmallow version, you probably don't have to be as careful at this stage. But if you are doing the reversible version, just be careful that you don't hurt yourself with these pins, because there's not much for them to grip into, so they do tend to stick out, and that can end badly for your fingers. I know that from personal experience. So pin down your piece, your belly patch, and just make sure it's in the correct position. If you want to see how it's going to look when it's open, you can do that. Again, just be careful, don't hurt yourselves. Okay, that's all right. And then once it's in the position that you're happy with, you can begin sewing it on. When you finish sewing, if you're crocheting the Squishmallow version, you're just going to weave this end into the body and then snip off any excess yarn as you would when you're finishing off any other amigurumi piece. However, with the reversible one, what we're instead going to do is weave the tail ends of all the pieces. So when we're done sewing everything, we're going to do this through the backs of the stitches of the body. And we're just going to do that a few times and then knot this piece off, just to make sure it's nice and secure and won't come undone when we're, reversing our axolotl. The next pieces I'm going to sew on are the arms, and I'm going to place these, still laying my axolotl flat, I'm going to place these on either side of the body. The bottom of the arms, this section here, I'm going to put about one row down from the top of the belly. So if I do this and mark that out, I'm going to place them there. So pin those in place and then sew those on, and you're going to finish off the tail end in the same way that we just did for the belly. After we've sewn on the arms, we're then going to put on the gills. The bottom of the gill, which is the small one, is going to sit about 2 rounds above the arm. So if you count up 2 rounds, 1 and 2, and then I'm going to sit the bottom here, and then just pin those in place. And then once you've got those in place, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to sew those on and then finish off like we did with the belly patch again. Next up is the tail. So we're going to flip our axolotl over, and then we're going to just add a little bit of stuffing to that. And like we did with the belly patch, we're going to center this with round 1 and also place the bottom between rounds 30 and 31. Now the tail is shaped, so the flatter part, so this part here, that's the bottom. Where all the increases are, that's the top. And then we're just going to repeat the process of pinning and sewing. All we've got to sew on now are the eyes, but before we do that, we're going to add the mouth. So what I would recommend you do for that is grab a smaller hook size and a thinner yarn. So I'm using 8-ply yarn and a 3mm hook for this. And we're actually going to crochet the features on. If you would like to embroider them, you can. However, I found in my testing that with the embroidery, as you reverse your axolotl over and over, that tends to come out. So it might have been a problem on my end, but I have found that crocheting any facial features is a lot more secure. So what I'm going to do for this one, I'm going to make a little pouty smile, so an upside down smile. And I'm just going to mark out the center point of that with a pin but you can use pins to create a guideline for whatever shape you'd like to make. So I'm going to put the center about there. And I'm just going to use slip stitches to create an upside down triangle. So I'm going to start one round above the end of the belly. So I'm going to leave this round free, but I'm going to start here. So I'm going to insert my hook into the stitch and then bring in the 8-ply yarn. Line that up behind the stitch. You're going to yarn over and pull through. Come on, let's try that again. Yarn over and pull through. And then I'm going to do one slip stitch. And one more thing I forgot to mention at the start, with the tail end that you leave here after you've joined the yarn, leave that fairly long so you can both weave it into the body and then tie it off later. And then from this point, I'm just going to begin slip stitching up until I hit my pin here. If you would prefer, you can use single crochets, but they tend to be just a little bit too bulky for my taste. They sit up a little bit because they're a taller stitch. So I prefer to use slip stitches. Okay, and then I'm going to go across. And then I'm going to go down in the opposite direction until I reach this row again. So my mouth will be in line. And then when you're finished, we're just going to cut a tail on this side. Again, you want this to be long enough that you can weave it in and hide it. And then we're just going to place the eyes on either side of the mouth that we've created. And again, we're just going to pin down and sew on. Now, if you're making the Squishmallow version, at this point, you should be done. So, you are excused from the rest of the tutorial. If you're making the Reversible Axolotl pattern, what you're going to have to do, if you haven't already, is double up. So you're going to have to make a second axolotl. If you've done that already, you should have one body piece where you have cut the tail and weaved in the end, and you should have a second body piece where we have a long tail for sewing. And there's my needle. You're going to thread that tail end through your needle, and then you're going to take both of your axolotls and lay them face down on the table or whatever surface you're working with. Press them both flat. I'm lining up my stitches. We're going to sew these two pieces together. So I'm just going to estimate what stitches I'm going to be using. So I've got this one first, and that roughly lines up with this stitch here. And then we're just going to sew both of these pieces together. And they should line up correctly because at the end of round 31 we had 42 stitches. I think it was 42 stitches. I'll double check that later. We should have 42 stitches in each piece. When you've finished sewing the two pieces together, we are going to finish off. And we're going to do it in a similar manner that we finished off with the other pieces. However, it's a little bit trickier because you can't actually see the backs of the stitches. So you're going to have to do this by feel. Try and push your needle through the backs of the stitches of either piece. It doesn't really matter. Alright, so you want to push them through some of the backs of the stitches, and I'm actually pushing my needle towards the tail here. So you can use either tail. And then once I've done that, I'm going to push my needle up through the tail. And then I'm just going to continue weaving this end through the tail because the stuffing will help secure this end and stop it from coming out. So I'm just going to weave it back and forth 3 or 4 times. And then we can snip that. And all that's left to do is open up our piece, and you're going to push one of the axolotls back into the other. There we go. And then with that, our reversible axolotl, or squishmallow axolotl if that's what you were crocheting, is all finished. Thanks for watching everybody. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and I will be back next week with a new pattern.